Hi, it's Debbie Williams here. I'm an NLP trainer and hypnotherapist, and today I want to talk about how you can help heal the pain of phantom limb pain. Now, I got married at 18 and divorced at 19, and my husband, when I was about sort of 14, 15, he had an accident at work where a piece of wall fell on him 20 foot over his head and crushed his leg. And I'll never forget where he had to sign consent that potentially they were going to have to take his leg off. And I remember saying to him, well, one good thing is that when they take your leg off, then at least the pain will go. And how wrong was I? And what actually happens, and I didn't know back then, but obviously I know now, is that all of the nerves are traumatised and they're firing off like electric, firing off pain signals, because it's saying to the brain something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong. And if that carries on happening, even though sort of everything's healed on the outside, that can be really, really sort of uncomfortable for the person suffering from it. And over the years I've helped people who've had phantom limb pain or who've had sort of trauma in some areas of their body. And how I've done it is, if you were to imagine there's a part of your body that feels comfortable, and say for example your one leg is, you've had to have one part of your leg removed but the other leg is still intact, or if you've lost both your legs, if you've got an arm that's intact, if you were to go into the healthy part of your body and think, well, if that had a colour, what comes to mind? If it had a texture, if it had a shape, if it had a sound, you're going to get different answers there to if you go into the traumatised part of your body. So if that had a colour, what comes to mind? If it had a texture, if it had a shape, if it had a sound. And what I get clients to do is to imagine the healthy part of your body that's okay, of washing that colour through to dilute out the diseased colour, and the sound to just wash through in sound waves to neutralise the old sound, and the texture to smooth that out. And systematically what you're doing is you're giving your body a metaphor of, see, this is a healthy part, do that to this one, and to help sort of close down the pain receptors to say, the trauma's over. And if you're suffering from electrical like pain, like things shooting off there, then I want you to imagine, if you would, that the electricians have come in and they're putting that thick grey cable on the outside of the wire so that you don't feel it. And in fact, it's changing to just a sensation. And if you could imagine the sensation of 1 to 10, that maybe you've been feeling it at a 9 or a 10, what would it feel like if it was to drop down to a 6 or a 7? And as the electricians put in that cable there to heal, what would it be like if it was to drop down to a 2 or a 3, where it was just a little twinge rather than a electric firing off? And see, your mind can help you to heal. If you click the link below, you'll be able to get my free recording, which is called Spontaneous Remission from Any Disease in Mind and Body. It's not a replacement for medical intervention or anything like that. It's just helping you have mind over matter and planting the seeds. If a miracle was to happen, what would it look like? What would it sound like? How would it feel? It's also teaching you to breathe deeply, because when you breathe deeply and you start to relax, then you let go of tension, which also will lower down any sensations of discomfort. And this reminds me of one chap that I worked with, who I was on a course in London, and somebody said, oh, go and work with Debbie, she'll be able to help you. And he was suffering from quite a bit of pain because he just had his piles removed. And I said to him, okay, what, maybe a part of your body that feels absolutely comfortable. And I said, maybe your little finger. And he went like that, and he hadn't got a little finger. And I went, oh, okay. And so he said his tongue. And I said, oh, if your tongue had a colour, what comes to mind? And he says, pink. If it had a sound. And he said, oh, it's smooth, sort of like running water. It had a texture. And he said, it's like kind of bubbled. And I said, okay, so go into the part of your body that is hurting. I said, if that had a colour, what comes to mind? He said, brown. I said, if it had a texture, and he said, it's like grated, and if it had a sound, and he said it was loud and screaming, and if it had he said a smell as well. He said it smells like shit, which, okay, and so all we did was the gentle sort of relaxation of just washing the colour of the bubbles through and the pink through and the smooth sound, the smooth texture, etc., etc. Did that for about 5 minutes, and he came back to me about 10 minutes later, and he said, I've just been outside, and he said, I've had the most satisfying fart, because he was afraid to go to the toilet because he thought it was going to hurt, and that nice explanation of wind proved to him that it didn't actually hurt at all, and that he felt that he could let go when it was time to let go. Okay, so please click on the link, and also it will direct you to my website, where you'll see the story of Rosie's brother, who was in a car crash, who lost his legs. And one of the things that she said to me when I saw her a few years later was that he never suffered from any phantom limb pain, and he listened to this recording over and over and over. And please don't suffer, and if you know anybody who could benefit from it, please let them know about it. Bye now.